Welcome back, guys. This is episode 2 of the Breaking Brews podcast. This week we're going to be doing an audio episode just because we happen to film an entire episode with no audio recording. But it's good for us because we have my co-host Lauren back. So
hi, guys.
Yeah. So pretty much we're just going to recreate that entire podcast. But last time I didn't have Lauren because Lauren was at a concert. What were you doing, Lauren?
I gotta remember what concert it was, actually.
Rain City.
No. That was I went to their listening party, but the concert I went to was the Barely Human one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So, gosh, where do I even start? Like, I'd call him a drag queen, but I don't know if that's exactly what he is. He just makes really vibey music. He's part of, like, the scene and the emo community.
Is it maybe like a character?
Do you know who Jeffree Star is?
Yeah,
I may get some hate for comparing him to Jeffree Star, but he reminds me of the current day Jeffree Star, for sure.
Jeffree Star was the guy on YouTube that wears makeup and stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of
so Jeffree actually started in the music industry. Like, he even had a song with Nicki Minaj at one point. But it seems like this guy, Barely Human, is not necessarily copying Jeffree, but he's very similar to how Jeffree was when he was first early in his career.
Yeah, no, I actually, that's surprising I haven't heard of him. But you've been actually doing a lot of music traveling recently, and I think you have a trip coming up as well.
I do. I'm going to New Orleans to go see Sleeping with Sirens.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for that.
I remember I used to listen to Sleeping with Sirens in middle school. I listened to Sleeping with Sirens, Pierceville.
All the good ones.
Hollywood Undead.
Nice.
Oh, my goodness. That's how you know you're going through a phase, is whenever that's your...
It wasn't a phase, Mom.
This is the real me. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds like you got a lot of good stuff coming up here.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
So I guess this kind of works out because it kind of gives me a little bit to talk about music myself. So I actually ended up having to reschedule this show that I had planned for Friday to this next Friday when the next episode will be posted. For those of you that aren't aware about and aren't maybe from the South, we had a hurricane that didn't touch where we are in Florida, really. Like, we barely got wind and we barely got rain. But people in Daytona, where I was supposed to be doing my show, evacuated. Kind of no reason for them to, but, you know.
It's better to be safe than sorry,
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we ended up moving it. So I have a pretty big show. I usually do it. It's every last Friday of the month in Daytona. And so it got rescheduled, so I'm excited about that. I'll be going up there this Friday. I think we're still trying to plan a trip up to Chicago.
Yeah.
Up in,
go see our buddy boy Fred.
Yeah, dude. And my tattoo artist is up there that did my big half-sleeve piece, and it would be good to see him, maybe get him to do some more work while we're up there.
Chicago is such a vibe. Have you ever been?
I love Chicago. I've been there twice. So I went there when I was 15. I went there when I was 14 to see my sister because she lived in Chicago. She lived in a really pretty high-rise on Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, that's nice.
But then I went and spent Thanksgiving there. Now, that was really cool. Thanksgiving in Chicago is different. It was funny. I hate Thanksgiving food. Thanksgiving food is my least. I hate turkey. I hate stuffing, cranberry sauce.
So what do you eat then?
It's a perfect example is I went up there because both me and my sister hate Thanksgiving food. So we did our own Thanksgiving in our apartment. We had mozzarella sticks, Tyson's chicken nuggets, Tostino's pizzas, curly fries. She had mac and cheese, chicken tenders.
You should just do an Italian Thanksgiving.
What's that mean?
Like, Italian families typically have their own dishes, like pasta.
Yeah. I would like, and that's the thing. So when I went up there,
like not your traditional Thanksgiving, I'd say.
Yeah, mine is the farthest thing from it. I hate pumpkin. The only pumpkin thing I like is pumpkin spice donuts from Krispy Kreme. That's it. Don't like pumpkin. Don't like pumpkin spice lattes. Just pumpkin spice donuts from Krispy Kreme. Well, like I was saying, when I was in Chicago for Thanksgiving, I didn't know this, but Beyonce at the time was doing a really big concert.
Really?
And me and my sister, the zoo in Chicago, does an Alice in Wonderland light show throughout the entire zoo, and they give out free s'mores, free cookies. But on our way there, we had to take the A train down to where the zoo's at. And me and my sister walk onto this train, And that same night as the night the Beyonce concert was going on, we walk on and we're the only people not wearing cardboard cutouts of Beyonce's face.
Oh.
We walk into a train, it's just us dressed in normal clothes.
And
we
all
walk
these
on, it's
Beyonce people
dude,
staring at you like you're
there
the
wasn't a
crazy
single
one.
person not wearing a Beyonce mask. I was like, no way.
That's wild.
So that was pretty funny. But no, I love Chicago, and I can't wait for us to hopefully get up there. Even if it's not in November, I'd love to get up there. I love the cold. The cold is, I hate the heat. That's like the one thing I
Really?
hate about Florida. I don't go to the beach. I swim. I love to swim, but I like to swim in pools. But I hate
I've
the
never
beach.
seen the snow.
You've never seen the snow? No way.
I've chosen not to.
What?
Yeah.
I think you might freeze to death. You don't have much.
I just love tropical environments, and my mother will be like, hey, we're planning a family vacation. Would you rather be on the beach, or do you want to go skiing? I'm like, fuck the snow.
Dude, I want to go skiing so bad.
I am going to go lay on the beach.
I love skiing. We in high school we used to do ski trips all the time to different places. I love skiing. I wish I would have been more drawn to that when I was up north. So I could have. I honestly, genuinely think I could have done professional skiing if I was in that environment my whole life. But yeah, that's enough about us.
They're like, what is this podcast about?
So this episode, we're going to be interviewing a lot of people here in the community itself, and I'm really excited because a lot of the people we got to talk to when we did the live studio podcast are still here right now. We didn't film this today. This was a couple days ago that we filmed it, but luckily some of them are still here. We interviewed a girl named Karina. She's a single mom in the community, and she had just an amazing story to tell about how the community kind of gave her a safe space and somewhere where she felt like she had a family there to help raise her kids and people she could talk to. We also talked to Costa, who's a local poet and writer. And he's here
phenomenal.
tonight. I love Costa's stuff is amazing. But who else do we have on? We had Nick Whidden. You know Nick.
Yeah, I love
Nick was on here. Nick was talking about, because Nick is like one of the only people I know that drives to like 3 different parts of Florida in a day to go
I
to
love
different
how
kava
he's
bars.
always off on his own adventure, just going and seeing the world and doing his own thing. I aspire to be that.
Shout out to you, Nick. I saw today on his Instagram story. He went to 3 Universal parks. He went to the water park this morning, and then he went to Universal Studios and then Islands of Adventure at Universal. And I can tell you right now, I bet if I looked it up on my phone right now, he's probably at Pacific Roots Kava Bar in Orlando. He loves that place.
He's a little wanderlust.
Dude, he travels so
and
much.
adventuring.
I'm actually gonna take a look right now. Let's see. I'm betting.
He's being a stalker.
Let's see. I'm stalking Nick.
We've
stalking
already
you, buddy.
figured out from the last podcast you're a psychopath.
He didn't post today on his Instagram. Let's see if he posted on Snapchat.
Mikey's gonna freak out. He doesn't know where Nick is.
I'm worried. Okay, he's at Diagon Alley at Universal.
Have you seen those TikToks where the little people come up to girls in the Harry Potter Universal Land?
They do what?
I don't know what they're called because I've never read Harry Potter, but they're like these dark characters, and they'll come up to
Death
girls.
Eaters.
Yeah, they're Death Eaters.
Yeah.
You haven't seen those TikToks?
So, okay, I seen it last year. I haven't really been looking at it much because
Like
I'm trying
the
not.
Death Eaters
yeah.
will come out and they'll I don't
They'll
know.
jump
It's just,
scare 'em.
it's just turned into this big trend where these book talk girls
Yeah.
will be like, oh my god, he's so hot, and then the Death Eater will come up to her and corner her up against the wall. I'm like, what
Dang,
is
that sounds
going on
sus.
here?
That sounds
What
like
is
a
going on at
romance
Universal?
novel.
Yeah, that's what they're basically doing, and they're making TikToks out of it.
I've steered clear this year because we still haven't gone to Halloween Horror Nights, but Halloween Horror Nights is a really fun event for anybody that has never gone or is thinking about going. This year, I will say, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. I just I keep up with some stuff on YouTube, some insiders. There was a house this year that was so bad that they removed it
Really?
3 days ago. It was Curse of the Werewolf, which I think it was there not last year, but the year before. And it did all right, but
Yeah.
I think every year they need to have a new,
Something
yeah.
different. I went the year of the weekends, and that was really awesome.
Oh my gosh, that was the single best house I think they've ever had.
Yeah.
Because you never really think about it. Like, I'm so into music, and I haven't watched his music videos much, but a lot of his music videos have to do with that horror-esque genre, at least back in the days, like in 2015.
So I believe he has a new album coming out, if it hasn't already been released. But the other day I was watching a live stream with my friend Bruno, actually here at Nocturne, and it was The Weeknd performing in Brazil, and holy shit, this was the craziest performance ever. Like, I've been to a Taylor Swift concert, and hers is like 3 hours long, choreography, everything is to a T. But The Weeknd's, honestly, I would say top Taylor's.
Yeah.
It was
The
immaculate.
Weeknd is probably one of my favorite modern artists. Here's the thing is, one of my favorite stories about The Weeknd is the issue I find with a lot of mainstream artists is that they're all about their self-image. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, self-image is important.
You kind of have to be.
You have to
Yeah.
be. But one thing that was kind of funny, it was a story that I heard whenever he first became, when he first started popping up. Remember when he had that crazy haircut? It was like
yes, I do. That was like at his beginning, or like the start.
Well, there's a story that or I think he's told once or twice before, where he was saying one day he called up his manager, and he was just like checking in on him, like, hey, how's this going, blah, blah, blah. And they started just talking about personal stuff. And The Weeknd, he asked his manager, he was like, hey, so I was thinking about cutting my hair. And his manager's like, dude, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's like who you are. And then The Weeknd, he just kind of brushed that off. And the next day he went into the recording studio with his manager. And when he pulled up, all of his hair was shaved off. And pretty much his reasoning for that was, he said, if I'm only known by my hair as a musician, then I'm doing something wrong. I should be known by my music. And dude, that's
so true,
you don't have any musicians talking like that, or at least like not so publicly about that. Like, that's his.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, he puts a lot of love and care into his music. And
it's there's actually a theory called the Hollywood hair theory.
Oh.
Like, once you've found your hair color and you post all the time in that hair color, you can't ever do a drastic switch up.
Why?
Because people just recognize you by your hair, and even psychologically, 90% of your beauty comes from your hair.
I remember when I was a kid and Miley Cyrus kind of went through her thing. I almost didn't recognize her. I mean, I really didn't recognize her because she'd gone, almost in like a 6-month span from the last season of Hannah Montana. Obviously that had filmed many months in advance. Like, that had probably filmed like a year in advance. But the next time I saw her was probably Wrecking Ball, and that's when she had the whole Robin Thicke thing.
Yeah.
She had the space buns. And her hair was short.
You think of certain people like Katy Perry, for instance. When I think of her, I see her jet black hair just back in her prime days. Yeah. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people, even like Miley Cyrus, who are famous, try and do that buzz cut, and it just never works for them, and they always resort back to their hair when they were in their prime.
Yeah.
You think of Christina Aguilera, you think of her blonde hair.
Honestly, I can't even remember seeing Katy Perry with the different hair, different hairstyle.
Yeah.
I remember, it was obviously just for one video, but for California Girl, she had the bright pink hair. But
yeah, it's just hard for people's minds to grasp because, like I said, you're so used to their one hair color.
Yeah.
And them posting with that one hair color that, I don't know, you just don't want people not to be able to recognize you.
Yeah, I get it. Image is an important thing. But the way that I see it is, it's going to make me sound old, and I'm really not old. But a lot of artists, before, YouTube and even MTV, a lot of artists, you didn't see much unless you saw something on the news or in the newspaper, but nobody really cared about their image.
Yeah.
Some bands did, Kiss had their look, and but for the most part,
unless it's part of your act, it shouldn't.
And a lot of people didn't have
deal.
a look act like that. Alice Cooper did, Queen, stuff like that. But for the most part,
Elvis,
they were relying on the sound of their music. Just going through the radio.
that really honestly
that's
is
what
how it
sold
should
them.
be.
And now, I don't
think
mean
it's just social media these days, Everybody's on it constantly, looking at pictures of people. You can know what anybody's doing at the drop of a dime because people are just always posting themselves.
I mean, I almost hate to hop on the bandwagon
anymore.
Yeah, I hate to hop on like the bandwagon, like with pop culture relevance, but like the whole JoJo Siwa thing.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of a prime example. Like, do whatever you're gonna do, but it wasn't. I mean, collectively, like I'm not saying that like I'm not a fan of it. But for the most part, a lot of people, it wasn't very well received,
Yeah.
And here's the thing is I'm not, like, same thing with the Hannah Montana thing, is I am not, like, a believer that these people are responsible to be the idol for these kids. Like, they're going to be these idols for these kids no matter what. But, like, these people grow, and their fans are going to grow with it. And here's the thing is, like, obviously, you need to have some moderation because, like, you are still, I mean, the fact that she has the YouTube channel up still with all the episodes, she has all the toy line products, all the cosmetic stuff. I mean, that's always going to stick with her in a sense, but, like, it's all about how you carry yourself, and, like, you need to prompt people, like, hey, like, this isn't me. And she does do that, but, I mean, if you go compare to, like, she's been doing this for, like, 12 years, being JoJo Siwa, like the dancer with the glitter and stuff.
She's been doing it for a long time.
She's been doing it so long, so...
You think of JoJo, you think of Dance Moms instantly.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, although you should be able to grow, like, you shouldn't be upset with people, like, not accepting it right away. And here's or not, I guess not the word, that's not the right word, accepting it, but, like, vibing with it. Because if night and day, like, if overnight I went and buzzed my hair and got face tattoos, like, I mean, that would be my choice, but, like, it would be a culture shock to the people around me. And I don't know, it is kind of like she is very obsessed with how people perceive her, and I mean it's hard not to, especially with how famous and, out there she is, but
I feel like
you can't hate on people when they don't, like, aren't used to seeing you.
To her, what she did reminds me of Miley Cyrus. It's almost like a coming of age thing. They
like
do
Britney Spears, the Miley Cyrus.
Culture. They almost have like a breakdown or like a drastic outlash. I don't know. They basically just have a crazy moment in their life that defines, like, okay, I'm growing up.
I'm only scared to see what happens when I have mine.
I think I'm in mine.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm dyeing my hair black.
Yeah, I would say talk about someone who changes their hair all the time. This one.
Yeah.
Lauren's changing
every
it
other month. It's
from red to pink.
Yeah.
Hot pink too.
Yep.
It's kind of funny though that your mic is the hot pink mic. That's kind of funny.
I love that. It knows.
We're testing out a whole new system here with we're using Ableton Live to record the audio for audio episodes, but and then I have it hooked up to my through my laptop to my Focusrite, so hopefully it turns out well. Either way, whether or not it as long as it's audible, I'm posting this tomorrow. Hopefully. I'm gonna probably stay up all night editing. But
thank you, Max, for setting this all
Max,
up for us.
Our AV guy, he was gone for a week, almost. He was pretty much gone for like 2.5, 3 weeks. I don't know what I could have done without him, man.
We need Max. We need Max. We can't do this podcast.
But yeah. Hey, Corbin, you want to come up here and talk real quick? So this is going to be Corbin. He's one of the 3 owners here at Nocturne Teas. I'm sure you guys have seen him on the first episode. Corbin, we're going to ask you, how have you noticed Kava affect the community you live in, as well as the environment that you visited, like different Kava bars? Put those on just so you can hear yourself.
So the question was, how did I notice how Kava
affect the community you live in, as well as the environment you visited, like other Kava bars in different areas, like if you've ever traveled, like you go to
Yeah, I've been to a Kava bar in Miami, as well as a couple in Orlando. The one in Miami, it was Vice City Kava. That was actually the Kava bar that inspired me to get into this business. So, like, I've been going to Kava bars for years with Zeke. He could drag me out to them whenever I'd come down and visit.
I saw you all the time at Eagle.
Did you? I never saw you. But I've definitely noticed that that Kava has brought the community closer together. There's a lot of people mixing together that, like, you know, you would never expect in any other environment to mesh and mingle so well. Especially in such a safe and welcoming environment that Kava bars offer for the most part. You just get to meet new people. You know, you have blue-collar workers and white-collar workers mingling together in the same bar, talking with each other.
Well, one thing I've really noticed, especially with your Kava bar, I mean, you got people that come from all over the place. I mean, you got people, I mean, there's about, I know at least 4 people that come down here from Titusville every single night. I mean, what part of the business or what multiple parts do you think have caused people to drive? I mean, that's almost an hour, or if an hour.
I think a big part of it is just like where your friends are, to be honest. Like, it's insane that we have, you know, it's not a lot of people, but any amount of people willing to drive an hour to come to our business is pretty incredible. I don't know. It could be the environment we fostered. It could be their friends that want to be around this place. It could be a combination of both.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, we're doing something right if people are willing to drive an hour to come here.
It's crazy. Here's the thing is, you guys are going into almost the middle of your second month. And here's the thing is, like, what I've noticed from multiple Kava bars is usually after their first month, that hype dies down. And, I mean, it's crazy. It seems like only as you've progressed, your hype has gone exponential. I mean, for example, like, usually Fridays and Saturdays were a bit of a, like, slower days. You guys kind of reigned the weekdays. I mean, but right now and even yesterday, I think we had close to, like, 70 people here yesterday on a Friday night.
Yeah, yesterday's was definitely one of our busiest nights that we've had. Yeah, we were never expecting it to be anywhere near as busy as we are, especially at the 2-month mark. We were expecting, you know, the grand opening to be busy and then a steep drop-off. And we did see the drop-off, but it ramped right back up way faster than any of us have expected. And we've been going strong ever since. We're definitely an anomaly.
Well, yeah, man. I appreciate you talking to us. I mean, seriously, I mean, you guys got something going on here. I mean, with the events, I mean, you guys collectively, like, if you combine all the Kava bars in Brevard, you guys have the largest turnout for any open mic. I haven't been around enough to see for bingo or trivia, but you guys do have a good turnout. I would probably say Island Root has a bigger trivia crowd, but I mean, for open mics, I mean, Brevard has a very big dome surrounding it with music and, like, people with music talents, and you guys seem to get every single one of them out here. I mean, we have to go. I mean, this past Thursday, we went till 3:30 in the morning. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, the open mics are a big focus of mine event-wise. I don't really take control over any of the other events, but the open mics, those are my babies. Having a background in, like, music production and just in theatrical production, I enjoy the technical side of putting on a good show. So I'm very adamant about ensuring that we get good talent up on this stage, and that while they're performing, they not only sound great from their own playing, but they sound great to the audience through through how we handle the audio. We have a good PA system, good board.
It's crazy good.
I'm trying more to incorporate, like, visual effects. You know, we added the haze machine. We're working on adding in more lighting, just to increase the value for the audience, really.
I mean, that's honestly, like, why I thought this was a no better place to do the podcast, with the brick wall and the scenery. I mean, even though the original second episode, we lost all the audio. We still had a huge turnout. I mean, that was even more of a turnout than the first time we did an episode, which was still a good amount. Like, the first episode, we did 30 people here. In the second episode, we had maybe 40, 45 people, plus about 5 people that came up on stage to interact, which that doesn't include the people in the audience. That was amazing. And so it's just nice that there's an outlet for people to come out and just relax.
Yeah, exactly. Very happy with what we're doing, and very thankful for you wanting to host your podcast here and everything else that you've done for us. I'm going to get back to work now.
Man, thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, that was.
I think. Oh, I was gonna touch
Go
on
ahead.
what he said. I think this place lets the creative community create. You know, they let people be themselves, come up on stage, express themselves.
for sure.
I don't know, scratch that. But I'm like trying to think how I'm gonna articulate this, because it really is a creative space, and I feel like there's so many people in this community who have such diverse talents,
Oh yeah.
and this is just a safe space to come and for them to be themselves.
I mean, with Corbin specifically, he didn't really shout himself out there, but he's in a band called Waste Coast, and the busiest time of the night is usually when his band comes up here. His band comes up and plays every single Thursday. They're out of Orlando, so talk about, people who drive an
Yeah.
hour from Titusville. They're probably driving an hour and a half to hour 45 minutes to come here and perform.
It's just a special place for sure.
Getting to help do the open mic here. I help do the bingo. They let me host the podcast here. Anytime I'm around, it was funny. I was hosting an event all the way in Cocoa Beach, which is 45 minutes from here, from Nocturne. And I got a text during one of the shows that I was doing, or one of the events I was doing, and somebody who I didn't know, they didn't know me, or well, I guess they did know me from my performances here at Nocturne. They messaged me like, "Hey, if you come out here, it's our buddy's birthday." And it was a buddy of mine as well, and I didn't know they were doing the party here. They're like, "Hey, you come out here, we'll pay you to come out here if you have time." And I was like, "Dude, I would love to." And being able to give somebody that opportunity, even like we have Costa. Costa's sitting on the edge of the stage right in front of us right now. But Costa was the first performer at the open mic for the last 2 months we've been doing it. Costa is the first person to get a standing ovation and an encore to come back up on stage. And hey, Costa, we're talking about you right now. Do you have time to talk? Cool. So yeah, I'm gonna pass this off to Costa. I'm gonna let you kind of
Okay.
ask him the same questions I
I'll
was asking Corbin.
facilitate this one.
Cool. So this is Costa, and Costa, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself, and you're gonna put this headset on and speak in the mic just so you can hear. Warren's gonna ask you a few questions.
Check.
Okay. So what question do you want me to ask Costa?
Go ahead and ask him the first one.
Okay, Costa, how have you noticed Kava affect the community that you live in as well as the environment you visited?
Well, Kava bars in general are fulfilling a need in Florida for community. So right now, I mentioned this on the last podcast, right now when you have as many people that are looking for friends or a consistent place to find their grounding or like a common denominator, Kava bars are kind of filling that void. And it's not respective of any particular clique ideology or anything. It's a bunch of people that are just trying to find friends. And lately, with the amount of things that have gone digital and how many things have kind of depersonalized, Kava communities are kind of coming in to fill that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So it's a business at the end of the day, but it's successful because it is serving a purpose or a base need that people are just not getting nowadays.
Yeah. No, I started coming out to Kava bars originally 3 years ago because I was in need of friends and a sense of community. And I undoubtedly found it at these Kava bars because everybody was just warm, friendly, welcoming. I couldn't have asked for a better place to meet such great friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an extension of in a weird way, high school, but for a lot of people, once they get out of college or high school, and if you don't have that alumni, even when you're injected into like the corporate field, you're like, okay, well now I'm just working. But if you don't have if Jack has no place to play and it's all work, then everybody starts to degrade. So these places are coming in, and they're acting in a weird way, not only as like a community, they're acting as places for respites, for people that have gotten into heavier stuff to come in and kind of get reintroduced into the world.
It serves many purposes, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a Swiss Army knife in terms of like social connection. But again, like I said, the fact that a lot of these are becoming creator spaces or maker spaces just lends to the fact that, like, okay, now kids have a place to go to where it's a little bit more controlled. There are substances here, but they're not on the same degree, and there's far less drama. But even still, I think it starts fulfilling, like I said, that social need.
Yeah. Mikey, do you want us to talk about his poetry? So Kosi, you come out here often for open mic and you share some of your poetry. Could you tell us a bit about that? Because I know you're a phenomenal poet. We were just sitting here the other night and you were sharing some of your poetry with me. And I studied poetry, literature, English through Cambridge University, and I think your work is phenomenal.
Thank you, but I'm really just saying simple things.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to transcribe what I've known for a very long time in the arts.
I think your poetry definitely connects to people on a personal level, and it's interesting to see, or just see how you see the world through your eyes.
I mean, that's all relatability, but like everything that I'm writing is my attempt to get mommy and daddy to stop fighting on every level. Like the amount of stuff that I see online or whatever, it's like, well, we know what's not working, and just like gesture in art, you can get it wrong a lot of ways, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But when it's working and you can see it working, there's actually a couple ways you can get it right. And so I try to write my poetry to appeal to as many people as possible, to try to get people to think about what is good, without disacknowledging the hardship or the pain that we share and go through as people. So that's what I'm trying to write to people that need some encouragement, because that's what I need. Any business or anything, instead of trying.
What's the best way to introduce people to the Kava and Kratom? To Kava and Kratom as an alcohol alternative, because I know you faced some challenges in your life, and at one point you resorted to this space to help you.
Okay. Let me put it like this. Whenever you go into a space where there's people and you're doing it in an edifying fashion, meaning, like, you come like a social drinker, you go out to drink to spend time with your friends, there's no issues with that.
Yeah.
When people start to look to lean too heavily on anything, whether it be alcohol or whatnot, or feel as though that is a base requirement in order to have fun, whether it be alcohol, kava, kratom, coffee, music, anything, an obsession with any of those things to fulfill a need, doesn't necessarily work, and it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth about healthier alternatives when anything is abused. So anytime I introduce anybody into the scene, and they're interested in maybe trying kava or kratom, I explain to them the mechanisms by which these substances operate on. I'm not going to discourage it, because I can enjoy it every once in a while, but I do make it clear to people that, like, you should use it as a reward instead of a base.
Yeah.
Like, so long as you're not in a base, there's enough.
I think it's definitely important to educate people on this fully, before they try it.
Well, and here's like what I enjoy about Nocturne is, like, there are those of us that come into Nocturne, and I drink, like, my tea is sitting there, but it's an herbal tea. And when kava bars offer things like kombucha and coffee and herbal teas, and are catering to those that may not want to drink anything or whatnot, you are opening it up. But those that may need it, or are just looking to have a good time and can act responsibly with it, like every commercial says, even about alcohol. Like, when you're in a loving environment and you have support behind you, normally you'll see that, like, your desire to overindulge will go down. And again, it's
definitely,
it's a good thing as opposed to alcohol, especially because your judgment is not as severely impaired in respect to kava. But everything must be done within moderation.
Correct. Yeah. Moderation is so important.
When
Anything.
when it comes to the body, yeah, and I would recommend if anybody is struggling with anything to take some time to fast and find some support. I had to go to a hotel room and hang out for a minute and just get away. I reset. I came back into the scene. I'm still seeing my friends. I just make better decisions with what I choose to indulge in. But as my needs are being fulfilled, my social needs, my needs to express myself, to be understood, that's why I write the poetry and whatnot, as those are being fulfilled, the extrinsic needs of substances goes down. So there's a hand-in-hand relationship in that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us.
I appreciate it, Costa. Dude, you
Yeah.
always, I mean, like, you hit the nail on the head with every question. Like, I'm so glad you brought up the moderation thing, because that's the way I explain it is like, I won't pretend like it doesn't exist, that people end up having kava and kratom as a crutch for themselves. They get off one thing, but just like anything, people who drink coffee, people who drink soda, having moderation is important.
Yeah.
Let me also put it like this. In Florida right now, a lot of the mental health facilities that are trying to treat addictions have scared a lot of people away from getting help. So in a weird way, kava bars have been able to bring people off of fentanyl and harder drugs as a safer alternative temporarily. But you can't solely rely on a secondary substance. But to be able to reintroduce people into loving spaces, I don't believe in necessary evils. That's a stupid statement. But as a temporary solution right now and getting people introduced, especially as, like I said, kava bars are extending their catalogs to include herbal teas, we'll take what we can get.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Costa. We really appreciate it, buddy. One thing I'm really glad that he brought up, like, it's funny. When I was in school, there was a phrase that one of my teachers used. He's like, it's called the rules of three. Is if you hear something one time, you either take it or you don't. If you hear it for a second time, keep your ears open. Like, obviously, that's weird. Like, that's kind of like deja vu. Now, if you hear it for a third time, sit down and you need to do your research on it or something like that. And one thing I've been talking a lot about in the last week, 3 times I've talked about it now, is kava bars. People get this weird stigmatism towards kava bars because the stories you usually hear is, oh, I use kava and kratom to kind of get off this hard drug. Like,
Yeah.
I know people use it to get off heroin or
It kind
or
of warps
coke.
their perspective on kava bars in a sense.
Yeah, but one thing that I always hear, and here's the thing is, this doesn't just pertain even just to kava and kratom, even like religious people or something like that. Like, when I was in high school, it's kind of funny because used to say the same thing is people who are in churches, like in a modern day church or whatnot, they can have fun. Like, I've seen kids that go on youth group trips, that go skiing,
Yeah.
or they go on like these trips. It seems like a lot of fun. They do a whole bunch of fun stuff. But I think the same thing is true about kava bars, or just kratom and kava bars in general. Because, I mean, we do the same things that regular bars do. Like, I used to drive an hour and a half to go to where my mom lives to go do trivia at this like bar and grill area. But I'm having way more fun doing the trivias here at Island Root or here at Nocturne Teas, and we do open mics. We shoot a podcast here, man. Like, bars don't do that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and like the bars that do are usually big facilities, like the Mothership in Dallas or in Austin that Seth Rogen has or whatnot. Like, yeah, sure, like these places exist for some bars or whatnot, but like those are like multi-million-dollar facilities. We're just in a kava bar, man, and we get to do something fun like this.
Yeah, it's almost like our adult playground. Actually,
Yeah,
that
no,
sounds
there's
kinda
so
weird,
much to
but,
do.
But yeah, we're able to create, express ourselves, and just have a great community as our support system while
sure.
doing all these things.
I mean, there's so much. I mean, like, you have, okay, like right now, as we sit in this room right now and we look, right now there is a group of people here for a birthday party, and they're just sitting there hanging out, and I think they were playing cards a minute ago. You look over here, you have almost kind of a random group of people that are talking in line, just waiting to check out. In front of us, we have people on their laptops doing schoolwork while they're hanging out with friends. The table to our left here, they're doing art. Like, there's about 3 of them that are just drawing, and one of them's crocheting. And then you have the people playing Magic.
Games, playing
Yeah,
pool.
playing Magic the Gathering, playing pool. Like, dude,
It's almost like the community center
Like-
in a way for people our age.
if you can go to a kava bar and say that you're bored, dude, you're just no fun at all. Because most of these people right now, I'm looking at people that, like, in the last week have just started to talk to each other. Like, people that there's no connectivity other than the fact that they're here at this kava bar right now.
Yeah, you pick one person out of this room and you ask them how many people have you talked to and you personally know. They'll probably tell you 80% of whoever's in this building.
Yeah.
There's just so
that's
many
how I feel when I'm in here.
people to surround yourself with, to meet, to do activities with. If you're in need of a friend or just a community, this is 100% the place to come and find genuinely great people.
I mean, anybody that, I'll even put myself out there. Anybody that's anywhere in the Central Florida area, whether it's in Tampa or Orlando or even here in Brevard County, anywhere in Brevard County, if you happen to go to any of the kava bars in this area and you bump into me, you can talk to me or whatever. Like,
And
nobody
people
special.
are definitely not scared to go up to somebody here that they don't
Yeah.
know and start up a conversation. I mean, I think today in society, people are scared if they're not in a place like this to just go up to somebody random and have a conversation because people are
For
so
sure.
glued to their phones, and it's almost like a burden to talk to somebody these days. And I think some people are trying to find a place where they can go and express themselves and meet and talk to new people without feeling like that burden or feel like they're bothering somebody.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if anybody here listening to this or whatever, and it's not somebody that doesn't, like somebody who doesn't know me, which at this point, people that are listening are for the most part people who probably know who I am. But if this does reach you somewhere and you hear about, like, if you follow us on Instagram and you see that we're coming to a kava bar maybe in your area, like, we plan on expanding out of Florida. I mean, right now, Max, he was up in Chicago, and there's a couple kava bars out there, and that's just a way to get our foot in the door. We've been invited, our crew's been invited out to the Dallas Kava Company in Dallas, Texas. Like, we will be coming to your area, and, like, we would love to meet you. I think, like, I would love to do an episode when we travel out of state, to do an episode in a certain kava bar or something like that. Like,
Speaking of traveling out of state, even like I'm about to go on a solo trip to New Orleans, and one of the first places I'm going to go visit is actually a kava bar out there. And I was like, this is going to be a great space to meet people who are locals there. And I feel like all kava bars just have that sense of welcoming community.
yeah, I mean, that again, I feel like we talk about this every episode, but like that's what got me into kava bars, is just people being so warm and inviting, and they invited me out to an open mic, and seriously, every episode I talk about this. But like, I mean, you got to remember where you come from. I mean, okay, so fun little tidbit is I do have a tattoo that the tattoo is called "Remember Your Roots," and anybody who's anybody would tell you it's stupid to get somebody's name tattooed on you. Like just somebody random. But I have about, right now, at least only for right now, I have about 9 to 10 names tattooed on my arm coming out of a kava root. And these are all the people that got me to where I am today in the music community, in the kava community. All these people I have their names, because here's the thing, is the way that I see it is no matter what, if there's been somebody who's made a big impact on your life, whether or not in 10 years down the road you're still talking to them or not, they're still a part of the reason why you got to where you are.
Yeah, they're part
so
of
like
your story.
I will never the people that I have on me, obviously I'm not just throwing up random people on there. These are names of people that like genuinely had an altering effect on how I perceive things and how I was introduced to the kava community and how I've grown in my own community that I'm in now. Like my music, having the podcast is all due to these people. And I have their names, and that's why it's called Remember Your Roots, because no matter what, you got to remember where you come from, because I mean, you can't be selfish to think that you got here on your own. So yeah, I mean that's kind of. We've had a lot of people up here. There's one more person I'm gonna have up here to interview in a moment. It's somebody that I've known for a long time. It's somebody I actually knew when we were babies, and we got separated, and then we reconnected to. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a conspiracy going around a while ago, which by a while ago I mean like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where people were saying that McDonald's is in the healthy foods industry.
How's that?
And then I did some research, and I found out that they actually owned at one point 90% of Chipotle.
90.
So Chipotle's original owner, Steve Ells, he started out with 14 locations, just kept it small. He wanted really healthy ingredients in a place where you could just come and get quick food, but you don't have to pay the price with your health.
Yeah.
And McDonald's saw how well he was doing with this business idea, and they offered him some money. They offered a partnership, and then McDonald's ended up growing. McDonald's ended up growing Chipotle so big, and now it's all across the entire country. And I just think that's very interesting.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy how fast. Because I mean, honestly, I mean, at some point, I really didn't even realize Chipotle was a thing until I think I saw like a South Park episode talking about Chipotle. We didn't really have a lot in Brevard. I think we had maybe one in Palm Bay, but we didn't have the one by the mall. We didn't have the one that's off before Century.
Yeah, it just grew like wildfire, but McDonald's is good at marketing.
Have you seen that movie, The Founder, with Michael Keaton?
I have.
That is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I love a good documentary on somebody, but like that story is crazy. Like, I mean, obviously some of it was a little.
The original owner's no longer a part of McDonald's
at all. Yeah, I mean they haven't been since the 60s or something.
That was a crazy movie, and I almost felt bad for the guy because he was almost swindled out of his own company.
I mean, it's just the way that. I mean, I feel like that's why, like, if Chipotle had used somebody else, I don't think they would have grown as quickly and as fast as they did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that whole first, obviously there are some parts of the movie that are kind of, like, over-exaggerated. But, like, for the most part, I mean, McDonald's really did grow, like, overnight, like that, whatever the guy's, Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc really grew that business. I mean, it wasn't in a great way. It was pretty unethical the way that he went about doing it. But, I mean, overall, he was kind of a businessman. I mean, he got that business to where it is. And if it, like, is controversial, like, at the time, as the statement was, honestly, I don't think McDonald's would be as big as it is today.
And
I think it would almost.
don't think Chipotle would be as big as it is today without them.
I would think
without McDonald's like resources.
I think McDonald's would have been the way that In-N-Out Burger is in California. I think they still would have been really big, and I feel like they could have expanded on that West Coast. But like, there's no In-N-Out Burgers over here, or something like that, or even Smash Burgers. I don't think they have Smash Burgers out.
No, there's not.
But like, I genuinely don't think they would have grown past this, because I mean, obviously, I didn't know the people that own. Like, I didn't know whatever the McDonald's brothers' names were. I didn't know them like that, but I feel like one of the parts that they talked about that was pretty close was how, like, they had opened a location in San Bernardino, California, and it kind of failed, and they opened a couple of locations because they couldn't keep that quality. And I think they wouldn't have grown. I think they would have kind of stayed how In-N-Out Burger has a whole bunch on that coast. But
sometimes you have to sacrifice quality for quantity.
Yeah, and I mean, and now it's kind of sad to see, because, like, you know, the qualities are, I mean, for the most part, are pretty similar over with McDonald's throughout the U.S. But I mean, like, there are locations that I just kind of steer clear of because they're so inconsistent. There was a time I went to a McDonald's here in Brevard, and they messed up my order 7 times in a row.
That's crazy.
Like, I went through the drive-thru 7 times until they got it right. In a row, like, it took an hour to get it right.
Sometimes it just depends on the owner of that place and the manager.
Or it was really the night crew, and I know they were understaffed, but like, I couldn't believe it. It was crazy how many times.
Yeah. I have a crazy story, actually. It was probably about 2 years ago. All my friends and I, we were at one of our buddies' houses having a party. We all really wanted McDonald's, so we all piled into his mom's Suburban.
Yeah.
There was probably like 12 of us in this freaking Suburban. Some of us were sitting in the trunks, in the trunk. And we went around the McDonald's drive-thru, and, you know, we're probably annoying the shit out of them with 50 million orders, this, that, and whatever.
Yeah.
And I got a Happy Meal, a hamburger Happy Meal, and I remember sitting in the car, or actually it was when we went back to the kid's house.
Yeah.
And we're all just in a giant circle, talking, playing games, having a good time. We all, like, open up our McDonald's, we're about to eat it. I unwrap my hamburger.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, there was a bite taken out
No
of this hamburger.
way.
And I was like, okay, like, don't freak out. Like, I'm looking for the other piece.
Yeah.
Like, where did this thing fall off? Like, it just looks like a bite mark. Like, but no, my friend Maddie was next to me, and she's like, what the fuck? She
Hey,
was
that
like, what
cook was
happened?
testing
Yeah.
it. He was testing his
No,
product.
I think they were either pissed off and they took a bite out of our hamburger, or the chef was hungry and he accidentally wrapped the wrong hamburger.
You know, so I have a funny McDonald's story as well, and this one, you know, you kind of get what you ask for. So, I went to a McDonald's, and it was at the time they were doing the bacon Big Mac, and I am a notoriously picky eater. Well, I went through the drive-thru. It was the one that was off New Haven, right by Mel High.
Okay.
And I went there, and I went through the drive-thru, and I ordered how I usually do, but I've never been to this location. I said, hey guys, I know it's going to sound complicated, so I'm just going to tell you exactly what I want. I want a Big Mac with only lettuce, cheese, ketchup, and bacon. Well,
Like, no bread?
no, I wanted that. I just
Okay.
I just wanted lettuce. All right, I don't think it was even the bacon Big Mac. I think it was genuinely just I was like, hey, I just want a Big Mac with just lettuce, cheese, and ketchup. Well, I get to the window or whatever, they give me my food or whatnot, and I could just, I had a feeling, because it was after how many times I've watched people, like, mess up my order. I was like, I'm going to check this out. And I look at the sandwich, and they literally gave me a Big Mac with only lettuce, cheese, and ketchup, no meat at all. It was
What?
no meat at all, and I was like, I went through the drive-thru, and they thought it was so funny. They were like, I was like, hey, I need them to remake my order. They're like, oh, what was wrong with it? I was like, I don't know how to explain this to you without it sounding like a joke, so I'm going to come up to the window. And I pulled up to the window, and I was like, so I asked for a Big Mac with just lettuce, cheese, and ketchup, and there's no meat in here. And they're like, there's no way.
You forgot to ask for the meat, Mikey.
There was no way that happened. And then they were like, let us see. And so they took it, and then all the people in the McDonald's that were working came, and they were taking videos of the sandwich.
Oh my God.
And they were like, it was literally just it was 3 buns, like how a Big Mac is, with just lettuce, cheese, and ketchup, no meat.
They thought you were a vegan.
Yeah, dude, it was so funny. I could not believe that had happened. I was like, that's the wildest thing. So yeah, that's my funny McDonald's story. That's crazy that that McDonald's owned that much at one point.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I don't even know how much they still own, but they probably own 100% of it now. I'm sure they bought the dude out.
That's crazy.
Or I just remembered. I think it's gone public now. Like McDonald's, if I'm correct, is no longer. They no longer
Affiliated with
have affiliated with it, and I believe like 10-15% the original owner still owns, and the rest is public shareholders.
I have one last thing I want to talk to you about, because this was something we didn't get to get to when we filmed this live, and I really caught my eye, and I feel like you would have a lot to maybe put into it just by noticing. One thing I've noticed is how absolutely terrible all these cartoon show reboots are. Like, they had, obviously this is a little bit further back,
Like
but
Cartoon Network,
yeah,
but like rebooted.
so yeah,
like-
so like they had the rebooted Teen Titans with Teen Titans Go.
See, I
And-
don't watch that much TV. I didn't even know that they were remaking
Well,
things
well,
like
they
that.
did. They did a long time ago, and it was
Okay.
even the show poked fun at that. But have you noticed that they actually they stopped filming new episodes of SpongeBob? I'm pretty sure, and now they have they had a Patrick spinoff, the Patrick Star Show, and it was a different art style.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was
Some
really
things
bad.
are just meant to be left alone. Like, let them run their course. You have a brain, come up with something new, you know?
Did you ever see? Okay, now this
I
is one
hate
of
the movie spin-offs of
Yeah.
like Disney princesses, like the live remakes. That like it's just so crazy to me because I grew up with like the cartoon version of like the Disney princess movies. And I mean, it was cool at the beginning to like see one or two like live action,
Yeah.
Cinderella, whatever. But
I liked
do
Ella
it-
Enchanted. That one was good with Amy
to
McAdams.
do every single princess movie remade in like human form, it's just starting to get ridiculous. Like, I want to see something new. I hate how they're like taking things and creating all these spin-offs. Like, I just want something to be fresh and new that I've never ever seen before.
I will say this might be an unpopular opinion, but one of the few spin-offs I actually liked, and it was a different art style, was Planet Sheen, which was the spin-off of the Jimmy Neutron show.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing, I think the reason that I liked it and it worked for me is, you know, Jimmy Neutron was the main character of,
I remember that show.
Yeah, like he was the main character of that show. But really, I mean, the things I remember the most are about a lot of the side characters, even the side main characters like Sheen and Carl, and
Yeah.
they
just had such a personality.
I mean, the quotes, okay, I didn't realize, I genuinely thought Jimmy Neutron was a much longer running series. They only had, I think, 3 or 4 seasons of Jimmy
Really?
Neutron, but they realized on this show, they profited with the characters they knew. So there was an episode, Max is looking at me funny right now. There was an episode, everybody's
Crazy.
but
Max
no,
is
so
about to rip his shirt off. Like,
It-
what's going on? Magic Max.
But in the first episode, they talk about how Sheen got to this planet or whatever, and then they profited on Carl being back in the show. I think his name was Blobby or something.
Okay.
But it really, I think the way they were trying to explain the first episode, they were like, Sheen was like, "You kind of remind me of somebody I know," and they go to a flashback on Earth where Carl and Sheen are testing out a invention for Jimmy, and it's like speed boots, but Carl gets spun around in circle by Sheen so fast that he gets launched into space, and as far as anybody's concerned, it just looked like Carl just died, like he just got launched into outer space. But kind of their way of explaining it is I guess maybe Carl had so much brain damage and going through space like that at such a high frequency of speed, it turned him into this gelatinous blob character.
What?
But here's the thing: is he was
Please
still
tell
pretty
me
funny.
they didn't make a show off of that character.
They didn't. But he
Thank
fit that
goodness.
show so well, and the show was goofy and it was stupid.
Yeah.
But like I liked it a lot. And like you said, they remade a lot of Disney princess movies. Like I like the live action Ella Enchanted. But one movie that is causing a lot of controversy, or 2 of them, I guess, is the first one is the Minecraft movie.
I did see the trailer for that.
I am really indifferent, but okay. Today, they did do an episode, or every year Mojang does Minecraft Live,
yeah.
and they had their live today, where it's pretty much just a presentation, but it's not. It's live. It's like a live stream, but it's not live in an audience.
Okay.
But they kind of talked about the show. I wish they would have addressed the fact that people thought it looked like crap.
Yeah.
But like
I think they did end up having to change the style of the trailer and
Yeah.
potentially the full movie, kind of like how Sonic. What
Yeah.
happens to Sonic?
Well, here's the thing: is like they showed some clips that they didn't show in the trailer, and I did honestly kind of like it a bit. Like
I
it kind of
mean-
changed my mind on it.
Yeah,
And it
but
looked-
wouldn't it just be so sick if it was actually
Yeah,
in
like the
Minecraft
animated, like
format,
Captain
back in the day
Sparkles.
on YouTube?
Captain Sparkle
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
And same thing with it was funny. So a movie just came out in theaters a couple weeks ago. Harold, remember Harold and the Purple Crayon, the book?
That sounds familiar, actually.
So it was this kid. It was like a baby, and he found this purple crayon, and whatever he drew, kind of came to life. Not like to life, but like if he drew a bicycle, it would create a bicycle that he could ride.
Okay.
Well, the beginning of the movie starts out where it's like a grown-up version of him, and in an animated style, but Alfred Molina, the guy who played Doc Ock in Spider-Man, he was the narrator of the movie, or of like the story book in the movie. And the whole movie, he's like, well, do you want to see what the real world's like? And he's like, yeah, Harold was. And so it ends up sucking him through a door that sucks him and the moose into like New York City, I think, or some big city. And honestly, I would have much rather watched the movie with like an adult animated, like how the book was, than watching a live action. I love Zachary Levi. Like Zachary Levi, like I loved him in Shazam. I loved him in Alvin and the Chipmunks. But it didn't fit. Like, why change? You said it earlier. Why don't fix it if it's not broken?
Exactly.
But
I mean, it can be done right, but come on, like drop the whole live action thing. We're all over it.
Like, I did not like the live action Aladdin, the live action Little Mermaid, the live action Lion King. The Lion King was the worst of all of them. The live action.
I didn't even bother watching it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is people don't even watch it.
Do you remember like how Scooby-Doo, the cartoon? They've changed their cartoon style quite a few times over the decades. And I feel like that's okay. And then they made one live action movie. It was great. But
They made two.
Okay.
They made it was Spooky Island, and then Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, and then they went back to making more cartoons of it. I mean, that was done right. It wasn't overdone. They were like, okay, people like the first one, we'll do one more. That's just how it should be. You know? Don't play into it too much.
So they actually ended up making 3 more separate.
God. Here we go.
Yeah, no, they made 3 more live action movies with 3 different actors and actresses, and they did terribly. They were box office fails.
But once it's overdone,
it was bad,
it's overdone. Yeah.
I think
just stop while you're on top. That's what like some people don't understand.
The people in the comments will probably tell me if I'm wrong, but I think there was an Andrew Garfield Shaggy live action Scooby-Doo, and it was like whenever he was, I think, kind of right before he filmed Spider-Man, so probably like 2013. Because I remember I was still in the age where it was kind of appropriate to me watching stuff on Cartoon Network, but it was so bad. And then they redid it, and then they had the remake of the animated show, like the spin-off of Velma with
God.
and here's the thing is, it kind of sucks because I really like Mindy Kaling from The Office and all of her other stuff, the Mindy Project. I loved it, but it was an unnecessary adaptation.
Yeah.
It was
and
just
I feel
unnecessary.
Like Marvel is guilty of.
Oh yeah.
Of that, of the remakes, of the
Well,
spin-offs,
they're kind of screwed in that sense.
Make your money, I guess.
Here's the thing: is it's not particular, like it's Marvel's fault, but it's not their fault because so when they were gonna file for bankruptcy back in '97 or '98, they sold off all the movie rights to different corporations. So Marvel, for example, like with Spider-Man, Sony has to agree every single time that Spider-Man shows up, and there's some new stuff coming out about Spider-Man right now, like where Sony's kind of trying to go away with their, like the Madam Web, which was a really big box office fail.
Yeah, that was sad because the actor, she's so
actress,
good.
yeah.
Actress, yeah.
She's
so good.
I mean, here's the thing: is I'm indifferent towards like Morbius. I liked Morbius. A lot of people, everybody hated it. Same thing with the original Suicide Squad. A lot of people hated it. That is my favorite DC movie, that specific Suicide Squad. The new one's cool and good, but that Suicide Squad movie was my favorite DC movie of all time, ever.
And
it was really
watch
good.
Marvel a whole lot.
I don't either.
The Suicide Squad went phenomenal.
That was DC.
Done right.
But
I feel like 9 times out of 10, all these spin-offs and stuff, they just don't hit.
Yeah.
They don't hit as well.
So, I mean, I wish... Here's the thing:
tried,
it's all these companies that are dying and they need to make money.
They're trying to
like,
survive.
here's the thing: is with the power that Disney has, they do not need to keep making spin-off stuffs.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm kind of indifferent towards the Descendants. Like, I haven't really watched anything since the Cameron Boyce incident, but like, it's just, like the live-action Lion King. They're making a second. The first live-action Lion King did poorly, and they were like, okay, we're gonna make a second one.
I mean,
like,
think
why?
of when we were kids, how many new ideas and new things were being produced and put out to everyone. Whereas now I feel like Like, what's going on? Are there no creators? Is it hard to find animators now? I just don't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to that creativity?
Well, I mean, with everything with the strikes, like the Writers Guild and like the Actors of America.
Maybe it does have to do something with the creators.
Like here's the thing is companies don't want to pay these writers whenever they can just toss something into Chat GPT.
Yeah. I mean, it's time to switch it up. It's sad to say, but
Well,
keep remaking things.
Yeah, you gotta come up with new IP. Here's the thing is if we can creating music for centuries, we can do it with movies and television. Like that's a much newer thing, and we've barely scratched the surface with things. I mean, the imagination is endless.
Exactly.
The human
That's
imagination.
Why I just don't understand
and
why we're not seeing new
It's
things.
so funny for Disney being a company that's all about imagination and how letting your imagination run.
Yeah.
How little they use their
That's their
imagination.
motto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how little they use their
They
imagination
used
these
to.
days. They
Now
used
it's
to.
like, what is going on?
Now we
But
sound like old people.
we're just grumpy old people.
Yeah, we're grumpy old
being
people.
Haters.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap.
Yeah.
I feel like we had some good talking points.
Yeah. It's great chatting with you.
Yeah. Again,
Like always.
every single week we're going to try. This episode's going to come out later than usual, but you can always be looking forward to our episodes coming out every Friday, sometime in the day, whether not in the morning, in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We record every single Monday live at Nocturne Teas, so if you guys are in the surrounding areas in Palm Bay, Florida, we record our live episodes at the live studio every single Monday from 9 p.m. to 10:30. So if you guys ever want to come out, be a part of the crowd, want to be part of the
we'd love to
conversation,
see you.
and or even if you just want to come check out the Kava Bar, we'd love to talk to you after we're done filming or even before. We're always out here, so thank you
Come
so
hang
much.
out.
Yeah, this has been episode 2 with Breaking Brews podcast. I'm Mikey,
I'm Lauren.
and we'll catch you in the next one, guys.
Bye.